To make way for the Hall of Famer, CBS Sports NFL analyst. He's Dan Fouts, who had the Ravens and the Chiefs on Sunday. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Real good, Dan. Good to be with you again.
All right. Expectation level going into the game and then after the game. Were those expectations met on your behalf?
Yeah, I think they were. We expected an exciting game, and that's what we got. We expected Patrick Mahomes to do his thing, and he did. And Lamar Jackson, he had a rough day because that Kansas City defense played better than expected. So, but still, the competitor in Jackson was very evident in the way he kept fighting and kept trying to get his team back into it.
They're very aggressive in their play calling. John Harbaugh is. It's not like, well, you would know better. Is he shrinking the playbook for Lamar Jackson, or is he just saying, look, I'm going to let him play with all the toys here?
No, he's letting him play with all the toys. In fact, Harbaugh's term for it is the spectrum of the offense. He's got everything. And when you look at what the Ravens can do, they can load up with 3 tight ends and put the big fullback in there, Ricard, and play power football and handing it to Mark Ingram, which they did yesterday. But they can also spread it out. But the puzzling thing for me in that game is the lack of targets to wide receivers. At one point in the third quarter, a wide receiver had only caught 1 pass, and it really only been targeted 1 time. So that has to change for Jackson to be more successful.
I asked Troy Aikman this question in the first hour. I'll pose it to you. If somebody hadn't seen Patrick Mahomes play, how would you describe him?
I think backyard, schoolyard type of play. The play we all started playing when we were 10, 11, 12 years old and then got into organized ball. He's marvelous. There's just nothing more that, you can say about him except maybe MVP again. The way he performs is different than the traditional quarterback. And you can say the same thing about, Watson in Houston and, of course, Jackson in Baltimore. They're enjoying the game. They're having fun with the game. And they're making plays we just haven't seen before.
Is there a defense that somebody can design that's going to slow down these offenses?
Well, it always starts up front, obviously. If you've got the pass rush, then you're going to slow down everybody. The defensive line is so important. And I think if you look at what Aaron Donald and the Rams did to the Browns last night, that's what the blueprint is for stopping, talented people on the outside as you pressure the quarterback and you shut down the running game. So at the end, it always comes down to better players, doesn't it? The team with the better players usually wins.
And also, when you draft these quarterbacks, Dan, it feels like if you're drafted in the first round, these teams expect you to play in the first year, certainly in the top 10. Like Daniel Jones got a chance to showcase his talents yesterday. And I wondered, you were taking him 6th overall. Why would you bring Eli Manning back if you know that's your future? Were they looking for a nice handoff here?
Well, Eli has a lot to offer. And if you watched him yesterday, he was very supportive of Jones. And I think that says a lot about Eli and his character. And it also, that the Giants may have had that in mind. I mean, I had a chance to play behind Johnny Unitas for a brief time in San Diego 100 years ago. And that short time for me was so valuable because I learned so much in such a short time. So having Eli there for Daniel Jones, I think, is huge.
If you were buying stock in some of these young quarterbacks, aside from Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, like, is there a quarterback that you look at and you go, I love what I'm seeing? Maybe they're not making headlines here.
Well, I like what Mayfield's doing. I think he's taken that team and made it his own. They've got some things to iron out, like going for a 4th and 9 with a draw play and not taking advantage of the talent around him. But I think that'll come. But I think Mayfield has got the moxie and all that. And then you think about moxie and you go, holy cow, what is this Minshew guy doing? We in his first game against the Chiefs down in Jacksonville, and he came off the bench and was extremely accurate, and everybody was surprised. But then he played for Mike Leach, and Mike Leach is a quarterback guru at Washington State. He just keeps pumping them out of the Palouse all the time. And Minshew is, he's a fun guy to watch, too. Keep your eye on him.
But also, you look at the pros are adopting the college mentality of offense, aren't they? Like, didn't they go and study Leach when he was at Texas Tech? Some of these, great NFL coaches. Like, what is it about what college is doing, or Mike Leach in particular, that the NFL is adopting?
Well, they're adopting and adapting, really, for their quarterbacks and for their receivers. When you're a kid, you want to play receiver, don't you? I mean, you want to line out wide and catch the touchdown pass. I don't think anybody really wants to be a fullback anymore or a halfback. They get beat up too much. So, these colleges are really influencing the high schools, obviously, because that's where they're getting their talent. So it makes sense that the NFL is looking at, well, who are the best athletes out there? Well, they're pass receivers and they're quarterbacks.
I was also wondering about this with the big numbers because, you had Eric Coryell, you had this wonderful offense, but you look at these numbers now, how much more difficult will it be to assess who is a Hall of Famer and who isn't when you look at the numbers put up by wide receivers, quarterbacks? Even the sack numbers are going to be up, Dan, because you get more opportunities for sacks. So how difficult is it for the Hall of Fame to assess who is a Hall of Famer?
Well, that is an excellent question. And as a selector, I have to deal with that as well. This will be my fourth year doing it. And, the numbers really are important up to a point. The comparisons are very difficult to make. A lot of times it comes down to the presentation, learning something we don't know about a guy. And sometimes that works against them, too. So you're right about the numbers going to just – as an example, Dan, we put up a graphic yesterday that Patrick Mahomes, if he keeps up this pace, he's on pace to throw for 6,000 yards. Think about that.
It used to be a big deal. I think Marino, when he went over 4,000, like 4,058 or something, and we're like, oh, my God. Marino was so far ahead of his time, it feels like. Don't you?
Well, Marino went to 5,000 yards, and I felt really bad about that because he beat my 4,800. So I know about that guy. Yeah, he's pretty good.
No, that's right. It was 5,048 yards for some reason, I think. And then he threw 48 touchdowns. What would Marino do in today's game?
Well, he might be on pace to 6,000. He was that good. But the thing about Mahomes is that if he has 3-4 seconds, he is going down the field, and he's going down the field with the hopes and the realization that something great is going to happen, and it usually does.
He's Dan Fouts, the Hall of Famer, works for CBS. He did the Ravens-Chiefs on Sunday. Antonio Brown is on the outside looking in. I just got information that he is going to re-enroll at Central Michigan University online. Does he play in the NFL this year?
Well, I don't think he wants to, according to what he's been saying. So he's going to need to really get on that online class. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but I wish him the best because he needs some help.
He does, and that's what I worry about, Dan. I think that's the bigger picture, that those around him might be failing him because this shouldn't be about football. This should be about something far larger than this. It just feels like there's something else in play here. What do you think?
Well, I think we'll find out as the days go on. Obviously, these charges are serious, and they have to be dealt with. And as you said, Dan, if it's all true, obviously he needs some help, and he needs it right now.
But, there's an owner or there's a coach who's going to go, you know what, he deserves a second chance. Like somebody, because it's that risk reward of the talent, in accordance to the ratio of what you've done wrong. And he's still young enough that he can be an elite receiver. I don't know. It feels like the things that he's saying and doing and social media and, this doesn't end well here.
No, it doesn't. And, even though he does have the talent and talent usually rules out, it's the off the field and it's it's all the things you just mentioned that are wrong and have to be corrected.
Do you keep any of your Charger gear? What did you keep from your career?
My gear?
Helmet, jersey?
I have a jersey. Yeah, no, I have a jersey from the 25th anniversary of the AFL.
Nothing else?
That's about it. A couple of mementos and things like that. What's your point?
No, I'm just curious, like what you keep, what kind of memorabilia you keep.
I do have one pennant that's signed by all the players, and I think the year was 1980. And the signatures are faded. But the thing is, Dan, in those days, guys wrote their names so they could be read, okay? If you look at autographs nowadays, you have no idea who just signed what you wanted. Back in the day, though, penmanship was very important.
I brought this up to my guys on the show. I brought in some programs, basketball programs that I got when I was really young in the early 70s. Jerry West penmanship was perfect. Like, you're right, that these guys, the only guy who had a signature that was hard to read, that was Pistol Pete Maravich. He just signed it Pistol, but everybody wanted his autograph back then. Jerry West took time to write it so you could read it, because there are times when I'd have to put somebody's jersey number by their signature because I couldn't read it.
I got another one for you. I have a Willie Mays autograph, and his cursive handwriting, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, Stan Musial. There's a lot of these guys. You look at it and you go, that's a beautiful autograph here. Nowadays, it's like not quite sure who signed that.
I don't get it, because in 10, 15, 20 years, that's going to be tossed away because you don't remember who it was.
What game do you have next week? You already got your assignment?
Yeah, we got a good one. We got the Patriots at the Bills.
What does Brady share with you when you're in those meetings?
Oh, I can't share with you.
Well, no, but you can give me an idea. Like, how much does he share with you? Does he ask you questions?
Great. He's great. I've known Tom since he was 18 years old at Sarah High School in San Mateo. I did a story on him when I was working at Channel 5 in San Francisco. And so we go back a long way, obviously. He's not quite as old as I am, but, he's always very accommodating. It's tough to get information out of the Patriots, but we have our broadcast team, Ian Eagle, and Mark Wolf and Bob Fishman and Evan Washburn, we have a tremendous relationship with Belichick, with Mr. Kraft, and obviously with Tom Brady. Those are obviously the big three.
Dan, thanks for joining us. Tell Ian that I said hello, and good luck. Safe travels.
I appreciate it, Dan. Good luck to you, too.
That's Dan Fouts, Hall of Famer, two-time NFL passing touchdown leader.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.